Good morning, everyone. I'm Wendy Kalergis, President and CEO of the Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association. I hope you're all having a wonderful week, and we're really delighted today to be joined by our human resource directors and also our sponsor, Kettle. It's going to be a great program. Please please ask questions, and we're going to get started. So I'd like to introduce guest speaker Nick Iubachini, co-founder, and Paul Stanton, head of operations for Kettle. Thank you, Kettle, so much. I love the name, by the way. I have to tell you, I love that name. Thank you, Kettle, for your sponsorship and partnership. And Nick, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's nice to be here. And the name Kettle actually came from our hospitality heritage. A number of us have been in hospitality for years, and the thought of it was just to have kind of a warm kettle and a welcoming vibe to what we're doing. So I'm happy to introduce what we do, Wendy, if you think that's a good starting point and be a resource to anyone here. So like many of you, our business was dramatically impacted with COVID. Pre-COVID, we had a workspace business with some technology that was powering it. It was innovative and it's going really well, but here in New York, we got hit hard, March 2020, and we lost our business effectively overnight. Like many of you were, kind of reeling from that. But when we regrouped, we decided that there was an opportunity to take what we had learned in the past 5 years and put it together with some research. So we talked to more than 1,500 different leaders in different positions, different types of organizations, from HR to tech to facilities, to really understand how folks are thinking about the future of work, returning to the office, returning to space, returning to retail. And in those conversations, it became clear to us that there was the need for some new solutioning and some new technology that would be helpful to kind of navigate some of these emerging challenges and complexities. So we built a software platform called Kettle OS, and it helps kind of manage health compliance and tracking and kind of the complexities and nuance that go along with COVID and returning to space, as well as managing through hybrid work and the kind of realization that 90% of companies are not going back to 5 days in the office like they were 9 to 5, and that'll look very different for different companies, but we've sort of built a solution set that covers that entire landscape and is flexible based on what people are focused on and what their needs are.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to add before we get started?
Well, our colleague Sarah, who's going to be joining us shortly, has been in Miami, has lived in Miami, has been working in the hospitality industry there, and has worked with a number of great companies, hospitality groups. So if she can be helpful to any of you in any way, she'll be joining as well, and I think can add a lot to the conversation. But no, we're happy to spin you through kind of our platform and keep it as casual as everyone would like. Feel free to interrupt, ask questions, slow us down. Just keep it loose.
Okay, so now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my heart of hospitality, our HR directors. Bobby Mesa, VP People and Culture, Aquilina Resort and Residence on the Beach. Thank you, Bobby, for being with us today. Melvin Ortiz, Hotel Manager, the Betsy Hotel. And we appreciate you being here as well, Melvin. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Carla Pravia, Director of HR, Carillon Miami Wellness Resort. So just to note, all three are luxury Forbes Travel Guide hotels. And they've been really dedicated and committed since day one. I don't think they took any time off, right, during COVID. So I owe you some sort of a vacation at some point. So let's start with the first question. And I'll start with Bobby. How do you ensure all employees are up to date on operational protocols? And how does HR support the communication and training aspects?
Well, good morning, team. Good morning, everyone. So basically, we consistently communicate via our workplace app, emails during pre-shifts, morning meetings. Also, our security department is very involved as well. And we review the OSHA website on a daily basis, making sure that we are, that we are up to date on everything that we do regarding the protocols that are in place now. We also, now we have our team members. We had an incentive in which we were able to, we paid our team members $100 if they were vaccinated. So with that information, we were able to gather a good amount of individuals and kind of knowing who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated. I know there's a lot of, HIPAA laws regarding that, but we're very, very careful with that. So we are constantly, keeping informed and up to date with everything that we need to know regarding the proper protocols.
Great, thank you. Melvin?
Thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure for me. So in terms of communication, everything that Bobby said is absolutely essential. In a smaller company like ours, we're a smaller property, only 130 rooms. I think walking around is the number one communication tool. Walking around, it's a lot about very simple behaviors, and by making your presence felt and conveying the seriousness of these behaviors and following them is been the most effective. And also engaging the supervisors and managers so that they also are watching and making sure people behave the right way. But yeah, definitely the app, we it took a long time to write the protocol initially because there was a lot of sources, a lot of competing sources. We haven't moved that much. Before we started the conversation here with the general public, we were talking about it, how the protocols have evolved. We at the Betsy have been very conservative and really stuck with a lot of it. We moved a little bit in the area of mask wearing, but not much else because in the overdoing it, right? In the over having a higher standard than the minimal requirement, we felt a lot of comfort and success.
That's great.
Thank you.
Carla?
Thank you for having me, Wendy. Definitely keeping our policies and procedures updated. It's a must, followed by effective communication. At Carolyn, we conduct all of our meetings virtually. This allows for higher participation from our EC level or leaders level, and then the information can be disseminated to team members in real time, right? We also record our meetings, so the information is always available to our leaders and team members.
That's great. So I think we're all talking and thinking about the mandate for vaccines, Biden's mandate, and how prepared are the hotels. I know a lot of the brands are talking about it and how important it is for the hotels to be able to provide the vaccinations. And I have to tell you all, we've been trying. We have a few companies that do testing, that are members of ours that do testing at the hotel. But it's very challenging to find someone that will go to the hotel and do vaccinations. So if anybody knows of anybody, let me know, because we really think that would be very helpful, because the employees, it's much better for the employees to be able to get this at work, So why don't you share with me, we'll start again with Bobby on, what I know you and I have been talking about vaccinations at work. So I hope that we find someone for you, for all of us.
Great. So actually we did have Nomi Health. They did come on property for us.
Good.
And we did have, they came for 3 days where they did vaccinations and also COVID testing as well. The only one of the issues with them is that they have to have the testing portion, because I guess that's where they maybe make their money in some way, I guess, when they put their money through for the grant. So that was the only issue, but yes, they did come on property for us, and it was great. We had about 20 team members take advantage of that.
And then they'll come back for the second vaccine?
They will. They
Yeah.
definitely will.
And then
yeah.
the testing has to happen too, right? At the same time? Okay, well,
Yes.
that kind of makes sense, right?
Definitely. So basically, I've already developed a protocol for when, if the mandate does take effect. So, all of our unvaccinated team members will need to be tested weekly in order to be put on the schedule, which for us starts on Saturday. So every Monday, we're going to require them to go to a testing site of their choosing and provide the results by Wednesday of that week. One of our biggest challenges, though, is that we have 4 third-party vendors, and working with them to ensure that they uphold the protocol as well. We can't gather the information like we do with our team. So basically, they are going to need to, be in line with what we determine, which is to be tested on a weekly basis. I know it's going to be an administrative nightmare, but ADP also does have an app where we can have them upload their, if we do the testing, they'll upload their test results into ADP, and we can manage it in that way. So that's really what, moving forward, what we're going to do. So I have it in place, but there are some items that we don't know whether or not we're responsible for paying it, which I think that's part of the mandate, which hasn't been clarified. So there's a couple of items that I can't really do until we have further information.
Well, that's progress. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So Malvin, what's going on at the Betsy?
We have been researching the legal aspects of it, obviously very important. We saw the Biden or the federal mandate, but then there was the local communications, right, from DeSantis and the local government. So we've been monitoring that. We feel confident that the mandate is going to hold, and that we're not going to face any repercussions locally. But I invite you, everybody, to really look at that and make your own choices, because it's very murky. It's been made murky because of the politicization of the whole thing. But again, we and ADP, we work closely with ADP. Feel confident that we can implement the mandate. We want to do it. We've been a little slow to it because of what I just said. In terms of how to implement it, we're leaning towards being flexible in giving employees the option between the vaccination or the weekly testing. I think, again, legally that takes a lot of the pressure off. It's gonna also help us with the turnover and the compression in the labor force. If you have a 10% turnover because of this, or even 5%, you're gonna be in trouble for the season. So we definitely have to give an out to people that, for one reason or the other, they don't want to get vaccinated. And there's a lot. I'm afraid that even in our own employee base, we do have a lot of people that have chosen not to be vaccinated. We're using ADP tools as well. There's a survey there where people can say if they're vaccinated or not vaccinated. When they're tested, they can even upload the documents to support their statement, right, that they've been vaccinated or not. But we're not there yet in terms of implementation. But we have always, like, since we reopened in December, we've always had weekly testing. So we're looking forward to the mandate, but we haven't worked out yet if we're gonna allow people to go to their own places or we're gonna give them on-site vaccination. That's nothing we're at yet. We did. I mean, it's covered by CVS, Walgreens under our medical plan. So again, we're not too worried about that aspect.
So that's making some progress, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Carla, how is it going at the Carillon?
Carolyn has facilitated on-site vaccination units for team members and their friends and families from the Florida Department of Health at free of charge. We plan and continue having those here. We also plan on organizing with our workers' comp provider for weekly testing as well. Local provider is in the area and the majority of our employees live in the area. So we're trying to make it as convenient as possible for our team members.
Wonderful. So I'm going to jump around the agenda a little bit because there's some questions I really want to make sure that we cover. So there are times like this that bring teams even closer together. We're in this together. Do you have any inspirational stories that you can share, and what was the impact in the organization? So why don't I start with you, Carla?
I have to say, during the resort closure last year, a lot of our team members were affected, and those that remained active during the back to school period decided to do a fundraising for those team members that were in furlough and were in need of school supplies for their kids. So I was impressed to see the high participation of our employees to help others out. So during the time that we were apart, we managed to keep the team united, and the impact was definitely the increase of loyalty that we gained from our team members, right?
That's a great story. A really great story.
Yeah, the funds raised were obviously dispersed among those employees that were in need, and those were the team members that were ready to come back once our resort opens its doors.
I'm sorry about that. Forgive me. So Bobby, what about you?
Well, I wasn't here during. I wasn't at Aquilina during the
Right.
last year, during when everything was really intense. So, but from what I've heard, I know that as a company, we did continue to pay benefits to the team members. And even though we did have to, obviously, furlough, we brought a lot of the individuals back very quickly, or at least tried to. So I know as a company, we did really try to, continue to have our team members working, and that's what I can say. But I have to say that I guess being at this point and starting at the beginning of this year, the stories that really, I guess you can say, impacted the organization, I'm not going to say that they're inspirational, but they've impacted the company. We've had several team members that were hospitalized for a few months, where they were severely ill from COVID. And we actually did have one team member who passed away from COVID. He was only 41 with three children. And I have to say that, it's not we're in this together type of story, but it kind of, makes it really brought us together in the sense that, how we really have to pay attention to what we're doing, and that this COVID is real, and that we really have to make sure that we have our protocols in place, and that we're keeping our team members, safe. Because to me, it was a very scary situations, and I feel like it really did impact us as a company.
That's very sad. I know. I was yesterday with a group of our women GMs, and they were sharing stories with a women's group, and the women in the group, they weren't hoteliers, and they were just blown away with the stories that they heard. And it reminded me of just how tough it's been for everybody in the industry. Everybody has been affected.
Yes.
So Malvin,
That's curious that Bobby and I kind of landed in the same place after looking at this question, because I was gonna say it's inspirational not in the happy way that typically people characterize that word. I think there was a lot of hardship and pain. Even the people that were able to keep their jobs, I work with a handful of people that we never stopped working. We're exhausted. We are, just to keeping things going. It's hard, and then it's also hard to feel sorry for yourself because other people had to make do, right, without their jobs. I thank the heavens because we haven't had a loss like Bobby's team had, but we have people hospitalized. We have people that left the industry or left the state to be with their. So there was a lot of loss and pain through this. And they say always it's good to get something out of pain like that, right? I think what happened is we grew up as an industry. We became very serious, very professional. We became very. You have people owning their stations like never before. You have people stepping up. They were a server, now they're supervising the floor and leading their coworkers because there's not a manager on the floor. You have people working doubles and triples, in some occasions and coming back the next day. We have to make hard choices. I have this phrase in my head, and I'm sorry, this is an HR group, but we're doing less cake, more cash, right? We sat there and we said, you know what, these people need to be paid. They need to be to get to pay their bills and to make sure that they don't have to be working 15 jobs to make ends meet. And maybe we don't do that many parties, or maybe we don't spend in gifts and stuff like that. So there was a lot of growth, I think, for us during this process, and for that, I think we're reaping the benefit, at least at the Betsy, without doing any training really, other than the mandatory because of the lack of resources, etc. We've been able to do better than we ever did in terms of service because people own their jobs in a way that they never before. Now we have adults in every position across the company, and I think that's one thing that we got from this difficult period.
I think we've all learned so much, right, about our roles and not, at home and at work, and just what you're saying. I that's so thoughtful, that what's going on with the employees, that they're doing different things and kind of looking out for each other too, which is really special. And we know so many have suffered, and we know there's still many that are still suffering. So we're still in that recovery mode, but we're all working together, which I love. And like, are there any employees like I was thinking about, like culinary, the stewards and the chefs in the kitchen, right? So where they're working really closely together. Any issues that employees are facing related to that? Like, because when they came back to work, or when they're working how are their social distancing? And I was thinking about some of my friends who have the boutique hotels where like the hallways, there's definitely no way for social distancing, but is there any issues that you're facing with the employees and maybe wanting to work in a different department, or I don't know? Tell Carla, would you like to make some comments?
I think we were very diligent when bringing our employees back and providing orientation as to how the new norm was going to work. So making sure they were having a good understanding and that they felt safe in coming back to work was the key, right? building them confidence that it was okay to return to work, that we're doing everything that it was within our power to keep the workforce safe is what kept us going. And luckily, we are facing recruitment challenges, but we have been able to manage our operation.
That's great. Bobby.
Yes, sorry. I mean, we haven't had any issues regarding, individuals not wanting to, work in certain departments. We have encouraged the continuing use of masks, even though, we do abide by the CDC guidelines where you don't have to if you're vaccinated, but we encourage them to wear their masks. So we really haven't had any issues when it comes to that. I mean, we've had issues where, maybe someone is perceived as being maybe sick, and they'll come to us and they'll be like, this person shouldn't be at work because they look like they're ill. So we've had much more of that come up where, individuals do not want to be working even in just a regular, in the office area where they don't even, they do bring it up much more often, where they're very much aware of, if someone's sick, they don't want them there. So that's probably one of the things that has come up the most in this situation.
So what is the one aha moment you had while working through the issues of safety in your spaces? Who wants to start? Melvin?
Sure. I mean, there was a few, right? The biggest one, and that really kind of changed the game, was the low risk of surface. The virus moving from surface from somebody that had the virus to the surface to another person. That was a godsend. Because that was very concerning for us. So we were able to focus more on the social distancing and the barriers between speakers. That was one. Two was, at the beginning, we were trying to do everything and going crazy, trying to to get every filter and every sprayer and every, and then little by little you realize it's kind of a numbers game. So if you do a lot of different things, even if you miss one here or there, or you cannot because it's unaffordable to do that other one, that you'll probably be fine. You'll have great results, but you have to do a lot. Not everything. You can go to sleep if you do enough things to keep people safe.
Thanks so much.
No problem.
Carla?
Being in a wellness resort, our big focus was on mental health as well. We promoted Carillon Conversations during the closure time. Carillon Conversations were free webinars to the community where we focus on nutrition, health, and wellness, right? And I was impressed to see how post-pandemic, how many individuals were coming to me, team members, looking for the employee assistance program to improve their mental health. So the stigma was reduced, right? It's different pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Yes, and I have to thank Baptist Health, one of our members. They did some great webinars too. They were really, for at work and home, and we all needed it. We all needed that, absolutely. So Bobby?
Yes. So I mean, I apologize. I have a call coming in. Can you give me 2 minutes? I am so sorry to do this.
No, HR is 24 hours. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Give me just 2 minutes.
We know how that goes. So what we'll do is we'll go on to the next question. What is the best advice you have for anyone putting health and safety policies in place?
My best advice is to stay informed for legal compliance, making good use of your available resources like GMBHA, right, the South Florida Human Resources Association, and identifying the needs for your property and your workforce, because those may be unique. So we need to adhere to the needs of our teams and our property, right?
That's a great answer. Malvin.
It's kind of the flip side of that, to definitely follow the advice of the experts, and unfortunately that's become a thing now. So the flip side of that is don't politicize, don't be part of that toxic conversation. Don't, just trust, just go with the experts, the CDC, the established expertise out there. Don't bring your personal opinions or the things that come to you through a cousin or whatever, because you're responsible for a community, right? And then explain things in a way that unites and not divides, right? Maybe somebody doesn't believe that masks work, but you tell them, you know what, there's a good number of our guests that think that, and we owe them, for them to be comfortable, to feel comfortable. And some of your coworkers want to feel comfortable around you. So, that's a good way of explaining masks to people that maybe feel that they don't have to wear one. And that's been a challenge, but if you stay, still neutral in terms of politics, but loyal to the advice of the experts, then you should be fine.
Yeah, the politics of it, we have to just, you know what I mean? We can't.
Absolutely. And there is ground in the middle. Absolutely.
Mhm.
There is ground.
Absolutely. It's kind of like family, because some family members, I know from friends, they didn't all agree within their own family. So that was interesting. So Bobby, are you good?
Yes, I apologize.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry.
I didn't hear the question. I apologize.
The question we are now is, what is the best advice you have for anyone putting health and safety policies in place?
To me, it's keeping up to date on the CDC website, OSHA, reputable sites, because I know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. So, I only, obviously pull from reputable platforms, so that we're always adhering to the best practices and implementing immediately when possible. So, I mean, to me, it's just always keeping, up to date, knowing what's going on, and just being respectful also of people's space, because everybody, I think, is in a different phase, because there's still so many people that just will never be vaccinated, and they just don't feel any need to wear a mask. Or so it's sometimes it's difficult, but I think just always maintaining what the policy is and just enforcing it across the board. That's the only thing that we can do for our guests as well.
I agree. Were there any missteps in setting your policies and process you wish you could have done differently and or have already updated? What did you learn? Let's talk about that. So Malvin's got a grin.
So we spent an inordinate amount of money and time setting up an app for employees to register on. And that was just impossible to track. So we kind of had to do the manual old version with a piece of paper and just talking to people. So that was that's my one regret. That's it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
That's funny. Carla.
I think the uncertainty in having too little information in the beginning has prevented us from disseminating our policies and procedures at an earlier stage.
Yeah, and I talked to my colleagues in other cities, and we were, remember the guidelines, the new normal, all that stuff, and we actually, I think, did better in advance. Like our county mayor did set the policies, and then when the new mayor came on too, she adapted to what, took some things out and kind of updated it, which I think that was really great. I don't think that happened in many other cities. So it was great with the transition of mayors too, that because immediately when the new mayor was elected, I heard from all the catering directors, right? They said, what can we do? How many people can we, have in our events and all that, in our upcoming weddings? And sure enough, Mayor Daniela already had put it in place even before I even knew. It was so fast. It was like, it happened like within 48 hours. So yeah, I think that was really good. They were really in tune, that local government was in tune to, I think our industry did the best they could, and I think that was a good thing for all of us. So let's see what else. Is there anything that you all want to add that it's not, we have a couple more questions, but do you have anything that you want to share? Something's come to mind that you think would be helpful for our audience? Besides needing a vacation?
I would like to tell the audience, to reach out to their colleagues, not to be afraid to, to network. We are all in this together. We have each other and we are all learning from each other.
That's great advice.
Wendy, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to jump in, but we've talked to so many HR leaders across the board that are navigating these things. I think one of the things that I would recommend folks thinking about, and it's come up in different ways, kind of the questions you've asked, is how to really inspire confidence in our employee base. And I think that's one of the things that's really been challenging for HR leaders in particular, because the goalposts keep moving and the information's changing. And the only thing we do know is that it's going to continue to change as this all unfolds, and really embracing an open dialogue, transparency, and an acknowledgement that, hey, like we're here together. We know that this is going to be a fluid situation. Policies are going to change, procedures are going to change, tools are going to change. And having that be kind of a two-way dialogue. I found that folks that do that really effectively have been just had a little more benefit of the doubt, a little more goodwill going, and then you sort of have seen examples of companies that are a little more top-down, direct, and some of those responses haven't been as great because, as Malvin pointed out, this has been politicized and people view this very differently. And even if it's not something we all agree with, the ability to acknowledge that with empathy and an understanding that this is complex, just introducing that into the conversation, we found has been helpful for folks.
Yeah, I also think too, like the executive teams of the hotel. So we used to call them department heads, right? And I think that they've been under a lot in your role as HR. Have you done anything with the leadership of with your executive team members that are the directors of the different departments? Or have they? Because I know they've been totally stressed out, as well. And is there anything that because I know that a lot of the things we were talking about today were part of the hourly employees, I think mostly, but the directors also need a retreat of sorts. I need a retreat. I think we need to do an HR retreat. We'll include wine, food and beverage in that, because it's been hard on everybody. It's really, so it's just a comment. You don't have to comment on it, but I think that's really important, if you have anything you want to share about that. But I know a lot of the GMs, and we have so many great women GMs. We have 55 now, by the way. We got new women GMs during COVID. So that's a great, and I know the HR directors are always meeting, and stuff, which I think is very helpful. But if anything comes up that we can help you with too, please let us know. So is I'd like to also mention to everybody that, you know, how sorry we were that we weren't able to have our INKEY Awards. And for those of you who don't know the event, it's our hourly employee event that we have every year. And the last one we had, which was prior to COVID, we had 950 at the Hilton Miami downtown. And Nick and Paul, we honor our hourly employees. It's just a great prom. It's a tearjerker. It's so much fun. And we bring the nominees up on stage, and then the winner, and we all, you know, they get an award. And then we also have the Hospitality Leadership Awards, which is, I call it a grown-up INKEY, where we have the managers and supervisors, and that's kind of a she cocktail party with stations. And the last one we had at the Intercontinental, we had 400. So we do have we set the dates, as you know, for next year. We're really excited about that. But we also just sent you all, you should have gotten an invite for a special event we want to do in December for our hotels to recognize one employee who stands out, whether it's an hourly or manager during COVID. So I think that's going to be a nice breakfast that we're having, Hotel Heroes, we're calling it, just to get everybody together and really, because everybody, all of you have worked so hard, and you all should be, you know, recognized, and your employees. It's been hard, but it's definitely better. We're in a better place now. Business is looking really good. You know, these upcoming next 6 months. I mean, the projections are really great. Conventions, we have a lot of great conventions at the convention center, as well as the meetings and groups are coming back. Not as large as normal, but I think, well, Miami and Florida continue to be the envy of everyone across the country. So always keep that in your mind, and talk to the employees about, you know, the future groups that are coming in, or different things that are happening in your area. You know, I was at the Sunny Isles, Ibis Resort Association annual meeting a couple of weeks ago at their new center that the city of Sunny Isles built, and they have a kitchen there. So they're going to be doing some culinary training. I mean, those kind of things are happening all over the county, and it's just so exciting for our hotels, because you all, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity for the communities to really continue to embrace our industry, that I'm very excited about. St. Thomas University, you know, Johnson & Wales closed in the beginning of COVID, and St. Thomas University hired 3 people from Johnson & Wales, and they are announcing a culinary program soon. So there's a lot of good things happening in as far as I think for you as HR and for the employees, for different opportunities in the hotel and hospitality industry. So I'm excited, and I really honor and admire all of you on this call, and everybody watching. I think that really we're very lucky to all have each other. And if there's anything that you need from me, you know, you can count on my support for all of you, and including Kettle. We're really delighted to have you as a sponsor and as an Allied Upgrade member.
Thank you, Wendy.
Oh, so let's have fun. Okay, close your eyes. And if you could go anywhere someone's going to pay for this vacation. This is a dream, by the way. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? If you want to name where you'd stay, that would be fun too. So Nick, let's start with you, Nick.
So I don't know. I think I actually go down fishing. I used to go down pre-COVID. I used to go down the Florida Keys, down in your neck of the woods, go fishing with my dad. It was our annual thing. We'd go to Isla Morada. I haven't done that in a couple of years, and it's like my dad's not getting any younger. So I'd like to do that. I know it's not so glamorous, but I love it down there. It's really peaceful.
It's great. No, let me know if you need me to get you a stay. It's great. Isla Morada, are you kidding? We all want to be fishing.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's busy. They're really doing well, which is great. So if you need anything from there, let me know.
Thanks.
So Bobby, I think you're smiling. Where do you want to go?
I want to go to Athens, Greece. I don't know why. It's just I haven't been there, and I would love to take my family. It's been on my mind. It's there,
Yeah,
waiting for me.
no. And Alex, your PR director, was in Greece. And also,
Oh,
yeah, and that's a great destination. A lot of people are going there too.
definitely, yes.
So Carla and Melvin is smiling. Carla, where do you want to go?
I actually wanted to go to an island. I, was planning to go on a cruise for the holidays, but my kids can go because they're not fully vaccinated. And as you know, vaccines are not available in Florida. So I have to look for a plan B destination, but my original intent was to go to an island and reset and come back recharged and be ready and available for my team.
Sounds wonderful. Melvin, you've got a smile.
Yeah, no, my wife chose that for me. It's the Ritz-Carlton Reserve in Puerto Rico. That's where we met back when it was a Hyatt. We celebrated our anniversary. Obviously, we couldn't travel, but we're there eventually.
You'll go. Yeah, no, and I read about that in Travel and Leisure, and so, oh my God, it looks gorgeous.
It's beautiful. It was always beautiful, but Ritz-Carlton did an amazing job with that facility.
Okay, so if I were you, I after Basel, start planning your trip. You can tell everyone Wendy told you to do that. So anything to add? Thank you all so much. I think this was so interesting, and if there's anything else anyone wants to add before we close.
The only thing I had in mind, a couple of questions ago, is the challenges ahead. Obviously, labor continues to be a big challenge. Productivity. I mean, we're going to be taken to a new level during this season. I think there's going to be another compression, another push. So just inviting everybody to rethink work, rethink productivity, equipment, remote work. I'm plugging Kettle here. But definitely a lot of challenges. This is just started.
And we're going to help too. I was at an FIU chaplain school last week. Bacardi launched their Center of Excellence. So they're now teaching students that are of age to become mixologists. And I mean, so there's a lot. So I think a whole educational update on what Miami-Dade College is doing, what FIU is doing, Florida Atlantic University, St. Thomas University is doing would be very helpful for you. For all of you to do. So we'll put together like a summit so the kids, because Miami-Dade College has some new certifications, and I think that there's opportunity with alumni that we can get you more employees. So we'll work on that together.
That would be great.
Okay, well, I hope to see you all soon.
Just a quick, Fahima just put in the chat, Wendy, that we're available for those of you that are still on the call that would like to see our demo. We have would love to kind of chat with those of you that are still.
Oh yeah, okay. Yes, absolutely. So the demos begin, right? Is it at 12:15, Nick, or is it?
I mean, we can, in the interest of saving everybody time.
Yeah.
We can just jump right into it, and be available for those that are scheduled for later. But if there are folks on the call that would like to see kind of how our solutions come together.
I think we should go with it. That's perfect.
Cool.
So you take over now, right? And I can watch and have coffee.
So. Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go fast. I know everybody's given this a lot of time, and it's been really great to hear firsthand some of the complexities that folks are working their way through. Our job, for those of you that do not have the ADP solution, is to provide a turnkey approach to health compliance, and also kind of make it really easy to stay evergreen, as the definition of health compliance is going to change. I think we all know that at this point. Together with health compliance, we've also built a platform to help leaders and employees kind of work together to redefine what is hybrid work. So for your corporate employees, this is how we get people back into the office and schedule that, and to Malvin's point, not lose a ton of people as people are going through the great resignation, as we all know, and kind of questioning their relationship with work and office and where they want to be. And then at the same time, for hourly employees, just a really seamless way to track health compliance, vax verification, negative test, all in a HIPAA compliant kind of umbrella. So starting with kind of this concept of the new work model, we have people, time, and space, and they need to be recalibrated and re-coordinated. So we use the concept of work groups. It's a lot like Slack, for those of you that use Slack and are familiar. It's very fluid. It can be as straightforward as your marketing team, where you have these groups of individual people. A team leader is kind of given the ability to establish the team, set the schedule. This would be for corporate employees mostly, who are going to be doing some form of hybrid work. And different organizations are approaching rules and choices very differently. So some people are all rules, some people are all choice. I think it's kind of up to the individual org and the culture there. But we can support any sort of flavor of hybrid. So you could say Monday and Thursdays, we have to be in the office. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you can come in if you want. And Fridays, everybody stays home, or something like that. And that can all be set at the individual team level or at the C-suite org level. And then we can add members, again, a lot like Slack, and kind of keep these things really fluid. Also have the ability to kind of make them bespoke, shorter groups of people for moments in time when people need to coordinate really closely who needs to be together. So that's the people and the time side of things. If we look at spaces, we have the ability to set up your HQ space for those of you that have multiple hotel properties and you have people in the field working from those. You can kind of designate who's where and when. And then what are the policies? So this is as simple as, who can reserve what space, but also the health policies that go along with returning to space. And we're basically marketing health compliance per the mandate in a box, and Paul can run through what that looks like, but you can set it up. It's all automated. You can send communications out, and when the legislation is clear on what exactly the federal mandate looks like, the idea is that it lives kind of hand in glove with your ability to return to office. So without speeding through too quickly, Paul, if you want to jump in and kind of show what that actually looks like from a vax verification upload, that'd be great. Paul, you may be on mute.
Just made a really profound statement that you all will never hear again. No, I was just introducing myself as Paul Stanton from Kettle. I'm the director of operations. And so, yeah, as Nick said, we really have here compliance in a box connected to our hybrid platform, which, we've partnered with Cleared4, which is the leading cloud-based health verification platform in the industry. And they guarantee 100% compliance, 100% automation. So they're on top of every federal and state change for you. And then, the platform's fully automated. So once you set your policies, it automatically reminds people, pings people, et cetera. So without further ado, I'll show you just quickly, this is the Kettle experience. So if you're an employee, whether you're hourly or whether you're full-time, you would come through and create your account, and you would fill in all of your account information, and you would verify your health access statements. And then you would come here to upload your vaccine card. If you needed to upload it twice, you would upload it twice. And then your account would be created. And then how that renders itself on our app. So just so you have a view of what, the employee app looks like on the Kettle platform, this is what I'm waking up with. This is on my mobile phone in the morning. I'm seeing where I'm booked, where I have access that day, whether that's workspaces or coffee shops or whatever spaces are loaded on my platform by my company. But the important thing here is the access control. So I have this blue little dot next to my name, which I can open up and I can show. And that lets my company know that I am cleared for work that day. And then if you are contact tracing, if you are managing contact trace reporting, you can be scanning that on the way into the office or on the way into the hotel or the restaurant. And that doesn't require any special equipment. That's just purely, just using the camera on your phone. Nick, anything more that you want me to go into? I'm happy to go into the cleared for background, but I think we just want to show them a quick snapshot.
Yeah, and this is accompanied by a fully HIPAA compliant admin console. So for individuals on the leadership team and HR group that do need to see those vaccine cards, all of that information is stored and accessible to people with admin access. You can verify that it's not a baseball card that's been uploaded. You can set as the definition of compliance. Let's say, for example, a booster a year from your last shot becomes mandated, you'll get automatic notifications. So it's kind of a set it and forget it solution to health compliance. And we register that it's not easy per Malvin's comment about trying to get everybody into it. So we take a very hands-on approach and kind of help the project management side of things of herding the cats and getting people to to comply and help. Happy questions.
Does anyone have any questions? That was a great snapshot.
Thanks. Feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure our contact information will be provided. You can learn more at kettlesafe.com. It's a website that sort of articulates what we just went through.
We can share the presentation too. Okay, well, I guess, are we all set? I think it's time for lunch, right? It's 12 noon. Well, thank you all again. I really appreciate it and look forward to our next steps together. And remember, you got to take a break, even if it's a couple days. Take a break, okay?
Absolutely.
And thank you, Kettle. We're really delighted that you were part of this program.
Our pleasure. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Wendy.
As
Bye-bye.
well. Bye.